Hello, and welcome back to the France Made Simple podcast, where I debunk, demystify, and debrief you on just about everything and anything that life in France entails. And hopefully, it's both interesting and useful. We do try to do that here, but don't always manage it, but we do try. So this morning, I've got a guest in the studio, which is great. And I'm really pleased to welcome Lucy Simper, who is going to tell us all about what she does here in France. So, hello, Lucy.
Hi. Hello.
Thanks, thanks for joining us. So maybe we can kick off with me getting you to explain to our listeners what exactly it is that you do here in France.
So I'm a private chef and I basically cook for every kind of event that you can possibly think of. I do weddings. The biggest wedding I've done so far out here was 250 people. And
Wow.
then I small dinners, of which will be for two people. So the scope is quite large as such. And then I'll do anything from dinners, weddings, buffets, lunches, whatever you need that involves catering, basically.
Okay. So how did you get into that? Was it something you've been doing prior to moving to France?
So I used to work in London. So
Uh-huh.
I was head chef at NBC Universal and I did their corporate entertainment in Tottenham Court Road. And I went on maternity with my first child. And then, like many people, while on maternity, became pregnant with my second child because, what else is there to do? Um, and then very quickly realized that actually financially, it wasn't viable for me to go back to work because not only was it an hour's commute because we live near Cambridge, I have very unreasonable hours. I would start very early, and then if I had events on, I potentially would finish very late. Um, and chefs don't earn a lot of money either, so I think I was going to take home like 50 quid a month,
Mm.
because childcare is so expensive in the UK. So I started my own business. It was very small to start with, and then I just transferred it over here once we moved here, which
Okay.
was fairly easy. So yeah.
What made you decide to move to France?
So my parents have had a house here for over 50 years now, which is about 40 minutes from where we live now. And I spent all of my childhood holidays here. Absolutely loved it, loved the life. It was like my dream to come and live in France one day. And then as I was bringing the kids over in the summers, I was picking up bits of work, because obviously my parents have quite a big network, so their friends would be like, "Oh, Lucy, would you mind? We really want like a buffet lunch, or could you just do this little dinner party for us?" And so we also, at the same time, some friends of mine whose parents also have a house out here decided that they were going to move here. So I thought, well, let's see how they do. And what they did, which is effectively what we did, is they said they were going to live with their parents for a year, test it out, and then if it worked out, they would move, which is exactly what we did, because a lot of people, they move over and it's fine, you can move over. But then selling up here and trying to go back is virtually impossible because property prices are so much cheaper. And I'm sure you've spoken about this on other podcasts. So, yeah, I just reached out to my network of my parents' friends, basically, and my business took off very quickly. I was very lucky, um, that not a lot of people do what I do, or certainly when we first moved here, not a lot of people did what I do, being a private chef, and I'm willing to go to people's homes and create the whole restaurant experience. There are other chefs out here, and I don't want to degrade them at all, but not many of them are restaurant trained. Whereas
Hmm.
I trained in Michelin style restaurants, in high end hotels. I worked on super yachts. So I've got a big wealth of knowledge of working in different environments, in different kitchens, in tiny galley kitchens. So I'm very adaptable to my surroundings.
Okay. It's really interesting actually, because we've kind of had a very similar experience, as in my parents also had a holiday home here for 45 plus years. And I spent all my childhood holidays here in the same village where I'm now living in, and just absolutely loved it. And it always felt like home. And again, when I got pregnant with my first, I realized that because my husband at the time had really long hours, so it would have meant when I worked out the childcare costs, it wasn't feasible. Again, I'd have
No,
been coming home with like 50 quid at the end of the month, and what's the point? And then, as you say, what else
exactly.
is there to do? So got pregnant with my second, etc., etc. But I think, I think French people often don't understand how astronomical childcare in the UK is. I mean, it's just
When I tell people in France, they are just blown away. But then equally, when I tell my friends in the UK how much we spend, so we have 3 boys, and we'll put them into the Centre Loisier, which is like holiday camp where they can go, just for people that don't know. So we drop them off at 7 o'clock in the morning, and we can pick them up at 7 o'clock at night. We choose not to. We normally pick them up at about 5. But that costs us €3 a day per child. So that's less than €10 for our kids to go into a holiday club where they get their meals, they get to do all these amazing interactive things. They'll go on trips. They've been on camping trips. Last year, they went on one which they went to Biarritz for 2 weeks.
yeah,
Yes, it was a little bit more expensive, but compared to my best friend in the UK, she spends about £70 a day for the same thing for one child.
yeah, I know, and it's the same. My kids all did the Colo de Vacances, and they went skiing,
Yeah,
diving, sailing. They had that kind of experience and upbringing that you can have in the UK, but you have to have serious amounts of money to be able to do it. Um,
exactly.
and that was another big factor in my thinking about moving here. Was I knew from being in France so much myself that the quality of life the children would have would just be, incomparable. But it is very interesting,
Absolutely.
the kind of cost difference, because, and I think sometimes when I remember when my cousin put her youngest into childcare. I mean, it was like the cost of a large mortgage per month. And when I tell French people either about the cost of childcare or the cost of property in England, in the UK, or the cost of renting, I can see on their faces they're thinking, "Oh, she bless her, she does try, but she's obviously got a naught in the wrong place when she's translated the
Yeah.
amounts," and they can't get their heads around it. It's
No, they can't fathom it. I also one of my other massive draws to here, which I don't feel that you get in the UK, is that they very much support women to go back to work. I mean,
exactly,
I got a lot of financial aid to start my business over here because they don't want women to just be sitting at home and looking after their kids. They want women to go back and to work and to be back as part of the community. Whereas back in the UK, I know most people that had a second child then stopped working
yeah.
because there was no other option. Um, I do like that. I love that aspect. I feel like the social support that you get here. I mean, I know a lot of people, yes, it is a socialist country, but for me, that's what I love. I absolutely love the fact that my children stay children for longer. They haven't got any, I mean, maybe it's different because we live in the countryside, but they'll go off for like hours and on into the forest, and I don't worry about where they are or what's happening to them. No one judges them by what clothes that they wear. There's
Yeah.
none of that stigmatism that you get, which I know that you get in all over the UK, and I'm sure you get that here as well in big cities. But they seem quite on top of bullying and stuff like that here as well.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with all of that, and same for my kids. And I think, and again, I knew that French teenage girls tend to wear jeans and a sweatshirt to school rather than looking like hookers, basically, because they're trying to adapt their school uniform. And I agree,
Absolutely.
it's different in the country, but I think the problem that with the UK is the majority, of the UK is a conurbation now. So you don't get the difference between big city life and country life anymore. I mean, yeah, of course it's different in France in big cities. It's not the rural idyll that we all experience living in the country, but that's the thing. You can still find a country lifestyle in France, and you just, unless you're, again, part of the super rich in the Cotswolds, you can't in the UK.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so all of these were draws for me to bring my business over here. I was very lucky that my husband was willing to move over as well, although he did commute to start with, but obviously then with COVID and
Yeah.
everything else, he had to stop. And then has actually now been here the whole time and has not gone back to commuting, which has been lovely because it means, well, I mean, it's brilliant in the fact that I am so busy in the summers. I'm not sure, even with all the centre de loisirs and all the camps, I'm not sure how we would have survived otherwise because I'm just not around. I mean, most summers I'll do like last summer, I did a 9-week stint without having a day off. And I leave at
Wow.
8 in the morning and I'll get back at 1 o'clock in the morning. So,
Yeah. You need
yeah.
the other parent there, basically, rather than
Yeah.
commuting. So what do you think's been the hardest thing for you about moving here to France?
Um, do you know what? I don't know. I don't think really anything. I
Uh-huh.
know initially it was difficult because we arrived here at the beginning of 2019. I very soon got pregnant with my third child. So he was born the end of November 2019. And then obviously we went straight into COVID. So I was like pregnant, very hormonal, had managed to like get myself really booked up for like a big 2020 summer with weddings and this, that, another. And then obviously it all kind of stopped.
Oh.
So this initial kind of start didn't really start for us, I think, really until sort of 21 when everything was more open up and everything. So I think our starting block was quite hard. I mean, I'm going to say administration, but everyone says that.
Yeah.
You just accept it. It's like just one of those things. There's no
Yeah.
point whinging about it or moaning about it. It's just, it is what it is. There's no point in saying, let me phone up and check how they're processing. Just leave it. Just save the
Yeah.
phone call. Just wait. You just got to sit in your hands and just wait. And that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
I think, again, the initial bit was obviously not seeing family, but that's because we couldn't. And then again, once it's opened up, we now see them the whole time. We regularly go back to England. My parents still have their house here, so they come out for 6 months every summer. Um, and we go backwards and forwards quite a lot. So, and we'll often like divide and conquer. Like, I'll go back with one child. Like next week, I'm going back with two of the boys, and then one will stay here with Paul, my husband. Or one of us will just go with one. So
Right. Okay.
it works. Yeah. But it's so hard. I don't really see. It's the normal things. It's the normal, but it wouldn't be any different if we were back in the UK.
No, exactly. Exactly. Okay. So in terms of running a business, starting up your business, okay, well, let's leave administration and paperwork out of it because we all know that that's problematic in
It is
France.
what it is what it is. Yeah.
It is what it is. So has there been anything else that's been difficult about, setting yourself up and developing a successful business in France, or has it been fairly plain sailing?
I mean, I don't know, maybe I am very lucky. I know that my whole career, I've been very lucky. I've managed to land very good jobs at exactly the right time and meet exactly the right people at the times I've needed to. So, no, I was very lucky. I had a lot of work already lined up. The summer before we moved out here, I happened to meet another chef who does weddings. And so then he gave me a whole load of weddings. So I work for him. Half of my work that I do is for him as like a consultant. I turn up on the wedding day, I do the job, and then I leave. And then the other stuff is my own catering, which I prefer because it's mine and I have more of an intimate relationship with my clients because I don't like to write out a menu and say, right, you need to choose one of these, one of these. I always have a chat with them and I create bespoke menus. That's my kind of upsell that I do. And then the weddings are more bread and butter. But I mean, they have been invaluable for me because I've met more people. A lot of these chateaus that I've gone to, I've then met the owners and then they've put me forward for, they've had people that are just staying there and not there for a wedding and they just want a chef to come and cater for them. Initially I was doing a lot of catering for people who it'd be like the grandparents have come away on holiday with their kids and their grandkids and they want a really, really nice meal, but they don't want to have to pay for a babysitter or for a taxi or have to think about how. So instead of putting all that extra stuff in, they just have someone that comes in and cooks for them.
Yeah.
And I create that kind of restaurant experience within on site. So yeah, I have been very fortunate, very fortunate. And I've never really advertised. I have a website, but I don't promote myself a lot like I know a lot of other people have had to because I've known so many people and I get a lot of word of mouth. Yeah, I've been very, very lucky basically. And I
Well,
hope
very.
because I'm good at my job as well.
I was just going to say, often people say very lucky, but I think, very, very good. If you provide a good service and whatever sector it's in, I think, it works. And obviously people in France love food.